Vision is the answer to whatever you're experiencing. I committed to the vision and then I matched my identity to the vision. And I told myself, who must I be today in order to make this $256 billion, $2.56 billion impact vision come true? And I told myself I'm going to be the owner of my business. I'm not going to be the doer in my business. The bigger vision will always figure it out. I'm going to be diving in today into the 3 steps that not only I used in my own journey of going from not such a good place to where we are now, but also the 3 steps that all of our clients, our hundreds and hundreds of law firm owner clients, follow to see success in their firms. If these 3 steps that I'm going to be breaking down for you are the key to 101 law firms in the last year doubling their revenues, the first of the 3 is to commit to a big vision. The second of the 3 is to match your identity to that vision. And the third is to eliminate mindset obstacles along the way. I had this completely wrong in my suffering. Let's not think about what problems you came into this event with. Let's think about where you want to go. Remove all the problems. You don't have a lead gen problem. You don't have a hiring problem. Let's look at where you want to go. There are 5 vision pillars, and we talk about this in our book. Do you actually have the book? In our book, Law Firm Growth Accelerator, okay? This 525-page book that took us almost 3 years to write. This book is the Law Firm Growth Rulebook, okay? And this is a speed summary I'm going through on the most important concepts in the next 30 minutes, okay? So, focus, focus, focus. This is your future on the line. There are 5 vision pillars as to your future. This has nothing to do with me. This has to do with you. What is your revenue vision? If you had no limits on your ability, you had a windstorm of cash, you could attract any A player to your firm. There's no limits allowed here. How much would your law firm be doing in revenue 3 years from today? We're looking at 3 years out. Now, I don't need you to just write down what I'm saying. I need you to write down your own numbers. 3 years from today, if you had no limits on your ability, you had a windstorm of cash, you could attract any A player to your business. What would you be doing in revenue? Now, you need to write this down for yourself for this to work. So I'll put a placeholder here. Let's say you wanted to do $10 million in revenue in 3 years. You have to write down your own number. What is your profit vision? 3 years from today, if you had a windstorm of cash, no limitations, you could attract any A player to your business, how much would you be profiting? This is in addition to your take-home salary. Let's say this is at least $2 million. 3 years from today, if you had no limits on your ability, how much free time would you have from your law firm on average in a year? My invitation for everyone is that you should at least have 124 free days as a target. 52 weeks in a year, that's 52 weekends, 2 days per weekend. 52 times 2 is 104. On top of taking every single weekend detached from the business, I want you to take a quarterly 5-day vacation on top of the 2 weekends before and after those 5 days every single quarter. What is your work focus? We've been through this with hundreds of firms. Okay, what is your work focus? What are the 3 activities that stop time for you, right? If you could just spend time on these 3 things, what would they be? It doesn't matter whether you love doing casework or not. You build a business around taking on the select few number of cases you want per year. Does everyone here unanimously want freedom from casework so you can choose the cases that you work on? Even if you love the casework, you want the freedom to be able to choose which cases you work on and which ones you don't. And if you don't love doing the casework, that's not one of your work focuses. You're going to hire a director of legal ops to manage all of the case production. Very simple. So what's your work focus 3? For me, my work focus 3 is strategic thinking, vision setting, and impactful communication. Those are the 3 activities that if I spend time on, I'm fulfilled. I don't feel like it's work. Strategic thinking, vision setting, and impactful communication are my 3. And then what's your sale date? How many of you want to sell your law firm? How many of you don't want to sell your law firm? Doesn't matter. 100% of law firms must have sellability. You want your law firm to be sellable because that is a sign of a healthy business. A business that runs itself, that's not dependent on the owner, is a healthy business. We define a business as a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. If you don't have a business, a law firm that works without you, you have a job. So what is your sale date? What is the date in which your law firm will be sellable? So that when you're making $2 million a year, and you get a 10x multiple on that because of how high of an EBITDA that is, how high of a net profit that is, and someone throws a $20 million check at you to buy your law firm, if you don't want to sell your law firm, you can say, nope, I'd like to double down. How many of you would like to at least have that option? I'm not saying you have to sell, but the freedom of choice. What if a health scare enters your life? What are you going to do? Just shut down the firm? That's what most law firm owners are going to do because it's not sellable. So what is your sale date? Write it down. These aren't about my numbers. These are about whose numbers. What date will your law firm be sellable? What date? Write it down. Write down the month, the day, the year. And for what dollar amount? My invitation to everyone here is that if you can get these vision pillars right about where you're going in 3 years, the legal industry has a vision epidemic. 99% of lawyers are not thinking like this. How many times can you go to a legal event, talk to one of your peers, and say, where are you going? And they go, oh, well, I have a 3-year documented plan. This is my income target. This is my EBITDA target. This is my sale date. This is my free days per year target. How many times do you go to a legal event and talk to someone who has that kind of vision in the legal industry, right? We have a vision epidemic. You're going to be the 1%. You're going to be the 1% of law firm owners that actually know where they're going. It's like shooting fish in a freaking barrel when you have a vision because nobody's doing it. Once we know where we're going in 3 years, then we have to document that into a 2024 plan. This is where it gets super simple. So in your 2024 plan, let's say your average fee per case is $5,000. The average fee that you receive per case is $5,000. How many cases per month would you need to add $1.2 million in revenue to your firm next year? 20 cases a month. If you get 20 cases a month and each of those cases pay you $5,000, you will make an extra $100,000 a month. $100,000 a month times 12 months is, everyone please write 1.2 million, 1.2 M in the chat right now. $1.2 million, my invitation to you is that you can add that much to your law firm in 1 year because it's only 20 cases a month. And if you turn 20% of your leads into signed cases and you were to get 100 additional leads a month, 100 leads a month times 20% of them turning into signed cases through your intake process produces 20 new signed cases per month times $5,000 per case equals $100,000 a month in additional revenue times 12 months is $1.2 million in additional revenue. The math is always simple because it's just math. The question is whether or not you're going to actually do the actions behind the math, which is what this event is designed to teach you. So let's go to this next. The only way that you grow your law firm is through the 4 pillars, the law firm growth acceleration model, okay, which again is the whole basis of our book. It's the title of this event for a reason. The Law Firm Growth Acceleration Bootcamp. In order to add $1.2 million next year to your firm in the next 12 months, you need to follow the revenue formula. Again, this is just math. This isn't me saying it. You must follow the revenue formula. You must follow the profit and freedom formula. Let's go through it. You need a lead gen plan. How are you going to get those extra 100 leads a month? Okay, very simple. Next, you need an intake plan. How are you going to turn those extra 100 leads a month into 20 assigned cases per month? You need an intake process. By the way, which lead gen and intake processes are better? The ones that involve the owner or don't involve the owner? Put don't in the chat, okay? I'm not talking about you working harder. I'm talking about you creating systems that replace yourself for these areas, okay? Lead gen and intake system to produce an extra 20 signed cases a month times 5K gives you the extra 1.2 million. Now, when you're signing up 20 more cases a month, what's the next problem? Who is going to handle those cases? This is where we build a self-managing team plan. Self-managing team plan has 2 parts, scalable hiring process scalable team management process. How do you hire the people you need to handle the additional cases? And how do you manage them? Very simple stuff here. This is business 101. As we're spending more money on marketing, more money on intake, more money on team, we need a profit plan to ensure that we profit at least 20 to 30% on this higher level of revenues that we have, and boom, there's your extra 300 grand a year all the way up to $2 million a year in profit. That's it. It's just different levels of the game, right? This is the law firm growth acceleration model, and this is what we wrote a 525-page book about. So you are one lead gen system away, one intake system away, one self-managing team system away, one profit plan away from actually making this come true. So that's step one, is be vision obsessed, not ailment obsessed. When I joined yellowpages.com, I had nothing. I was suffering from anxiety disorder. I told my sales manager, this is like my lifeline. I must be number one. I need to attach myself to success. I told him I wanted to make $400,000, actually $500,000 in my first year. And he laughed at me, but I was vision obsessed. I didn't care that he laughed at me. And I ended up becoming the number one salesperson in the whole company out of 3,000 reps, only because I was vision obsessed and I wasn't ailment obsessed. And ever since that day, I have not felt my anxiety disorder symptoms. Vision is the answer to whatever you're experiencing. The bigger vision will always figure it out. So next step is, okay, we have the vision, but now is our identity lining up? When I started SMB team, I didn't like stumble into business and hope next year would be better than the last year. I created a 10-year Excel document plan, and I reverse engineered from what if I had a $2.56 billion impact on the legal industry? And what if I collect the 10% commission of that? That would be $256 million a year in revenue. I brainstormed it out in an Excel sheet. My roommate at the time, because I didn't have my own property, my roommate at the time said, "Are you a maniac?" I was unemployed at the time. I had just quit yellowpages.com. I'm unemployed, and I had this vision for my business. I followed the same practices that I followed when I was at yellowpages.com. I committed to the vision, and then I matched my identity to the vision. And I told myself, who must I be today in order to make this $256 billion, $2.56 billion impact vision come true? And I told myself I'm going to be the owner of my business. I'm not going to be the doer in my business. That's why it was so easy for me to delegate. So let's go through the lawyer legacy staircase, which is another big pivotal concept that we talk about in our book. All law firm owners start out as a law student. There's only 8 identities that a law firm owner can be in. The first is law student. The second is lawyer. Law student, you are paying money to learn. Lawyer, you get paid to learn by working for someone else. How many of you have worked for someone else in your legal career at one point? Congratulations, you made a pretty big shift here from making money to learn the law versus paying. That's big. Only 20% of lawyers ever go into the solo category. We define a solo practitioner as someone who has 1 to 2 helpers and the owner. You told yourself, I'm going to work for myself, but was that true? I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to start my own business. Was that true? Did you actually work for yourself, or were you constantly on call for those 1 to 2 helpers that you have and constantly on call for every client fire that popped up? Did you really create your own world where you work for yourself? No, it's a myth, right? You didn't work for yourself. You worked for your clients and a small team. So a small percent of solos go into what we call the small business manager category. You go from a solo to a small business manager, okay? Only about 16% of solos get to this category. This category is when you go from 3 to 19 helpers, you call them employees. But what happens is a solo will stumble on a couple of lead gen systems that work. They'll scale up their case volume. They won't build the right infrastructure for their team. So the law firm owner is still the bottleneck as they scale their team, and then they approach what's called the abyss. The abyss is where your profits plummet and your freedom plummets. What do most law firm owners do when they tried expanding their firm once before, but their foundation was broken. They go back down to solo world. They make sense in their mind. Oh, the one time I invested in my marketing, the one time I hired people, it didn't go right. They didn't do things my way. I'm just going to go back to being small. And that's actually because you hit a ceiling of complexity. It's not because it's harder to build a bigger firm. It's actually way easier. My life is exponentially easier now that I have 130 employees and I can just focus on what I love to do every day. That's because I know the system. My life is not harder having 130 employees. Believe me. Believe me. It was hard when I was on call for everything. That was hard. So choose your hard. Now, some law firm owners, only about 2% of law firm owners will ever make it to category 5. And that's being the true CEO of your firm. When you're below the abyss, you work for a small team and your clients. When you are above the abyss, you become the CEO of your firm. You now work for a vision and a leadership team. You have 3 to 5 direct report lieutenants, your head of marketing, your head of intake, your head of case ops. You are the CEO visionary. Maybe you have a COO. And those are the 4 people that you talk to on a daily basis. So now instead of working for all these people, you work with 4 people, 3 to 4 people, and a vision. You work for your vision when you're the CEO. Now, category 6 is where I want 100% of you to set a goal. Category 6, when you are the CEO of your firm, you are working in the business. When you are the owner of your firm, you hire a CEO or a COO to run the day-to-day of your business. Your law firm runs itself. Warren Buffett is an owner of Coca-Cola, but he makes 20 times more than the CEO of Coca-Cola, who attends every meeting, actively manages Coca-Cola. Warren Buffett makes 20 times more and attends no meetings in Coca-Cola because he invested one time as an owner. He's not even a visionary. Isn't that crazy? He's a deployer of capital. So when you're the owner, you have a CEO or a COO who runs the day-to-day of the business, which then frees you up to then become what we call an entrepreneur. So funny. So many people call themselves a law firm owner, call themselves an entrepreneur. I call an entrepreneur someone who has a proven business model that has either decided to create an autopilot and profit system or an expansion system. So entrepreneur, I think there's 2 categories of entrepreneurs. There's freedom entrepreneurs and there's expansion entrepreneurs. Freedom entrepreneurs is once you create a firm that runs itself, you can choose to optimize for work-life balance, which we call the autopilot and profit system. Firm runs itself, you receive a cash dividend from the firm, and you do whatever the hell you want with your life. That's autopilot profit. The expansion entrepreneur system is you decide to take your proven model that's working on its own and expand it nationally and expand it into other practice areas. Your choice. You don't have to be an expansion entrepreneur like me. You can be a freedom entrepreneur. And then the ultimate level is wealth multiplier. All of this, you're trading time for money. When you become a wealth multiplier, your money makes you more money. You actually eject yourself from the time economy. This is where you become an angel investor. You invest in other law firms. You make financial and resource allocation decisions. That's pretty much it when you're a wealth multiplier. Most law firm owners are operating at category 3 or 4. That's why you're experiencing pain. So by rebuilding your foundation, your delegation, and your capitalization, foundation, delegation, capitalization, you cross the abyss and your firm can work without you. But it requires building the lead gen, intake, self-managing team, and profit plan system, which is a part of the law firm growth acceleration model. So instead of your job being working on law, your job is to build lead gen systems, intake systems, self-managing team systems, and profit plan systems. If you're serious about expanding your firm. If you're not serious about expanding your firm, this event's going to be tough for you and giving yourself freedom, because that's all we're going to talk about. That's the second step, is matching your identity to your vision. So hindsight's 2020. I wish when I was experiencing 8 years of anxiety disorder, I didn't try solving that problem, just like you're trying to solve your law firm's problems right now. I wish I just attached to a bigger vision that made me forget about all the problems I had. I wish I matched my identity to, oh, I'm not an anxious person. I'm not a problem-ridden person. I'm a freaking owner. So we have this vision. We match our identity to the vision. We start acting the part. What would an owner do? What would an entrepreneur do? Well, they would delegate. They would invest more in their marketing. They would hire people before they're ready. They wouldn't worry about the micromanagement. I'm just brainstorming these things out. You already know the answers to these things. I'm not going to patronize you. Okay? You already know what you need to do. Just like working out. What do you have to do to lose weight? Move more, eat less. Oh, but what is the specific Shut up. I'm talking to your subconscious mind. I'm talking to my subconscious mind. Dude, you need more leads. You have to convert them. You have to replace yourself from the process. Stop overcomplicating it. It's freaking simple. And I only say it with aggression because I love you. And I know you're giving us your time, and I'm going to give you my intensity back. So you have a vision. You infuse that with a deep why, right? The fact that my family went bankrupt, I have an I refuse statement. Your vision is your I picture statement. I want to create this for my family. I don't want to be chained to the desk anymore. I don't want to die at my desk. I don't want my firm to close down if I get sick. I have this vision where I want to be, revenue, profit, free time, right? I'm start thinking big. And then I have a why. My why is an I refuse statement. I refuse to recreate what happened to my family in 2008. I refuse to have my company not be recession-proof. I refuse to let my daughter suffer. I refuse to experience the anxiety I felt before because I didn't have a financial fortress. I didn't have any confidence in my ability to create abundance in any area of my life. I refuse to feel that again. That's my why. Therefore, I'm going to create a recession-proof business, and I'm going to drag every freaking person I can along with me. That's my why. When there's hard days, I go look at my why. Let's say I have a really strong why, really strong vision, but my belief system holds me back. Everyone has ideas that float through their mind. Your ideas that go through your mind, they're kind of like a tabletop, right? You have this tabletop, and then you have these supporting legs. The supporting legs are what's called your reference experiences. So I want everyone to unmute right now and talk to me and say these 3 words. I am sexy.
I am sexy.
I am sexy.
You are sexy.
I am sexy.
Yeah. All right, now ready? That was an idea. You just shared an idea. You stated it out loud.
Idea.
And now you have these reference experiences that pop into your mind. Some of you said that like, I am sexy. And others said, I am sexy. I'm doing it because Bill told me to is the tone of voice there. Versus some of you thought, I'm sexy when you said it to yourself, right? You said that to yourself. Some of you believed the words that came out of your mouth and others didn't. Now I want you to unmute, talk to me one more time. I grow my law firm by $1.2 million in the next year. Say that out loud.
I grow my law firm by $1.2 million.
Quit.
Some of you believe that, some of you didn't. Some of you have reference experiences in your brain that go, you put on the brakes. I can't do that. It didn't work before. I don't know how that's going to work. Some of you think only 1.2 million. What the heck is this guy doing? Why would he pigeonhole me so much? If my company only grew by $1.2 million last year, I would have had to lay off 50 people. Our company grew by $15 million last year. So for me to say those words, I would never even tolerate those words to come through my mouth. So when I say it, I certainly don't believe it because it's way too small, right? I have a different reference experience. Can I get a thumbs up that everyone understands what I'm saying right now? Everyone has a different emotional relationship to the words that go through your mind that you share, that you take action on, that you don't take action on. And they're evidenced in what's called your list of limits, right? You have this list of limits. I can't invest the money. I don't have the money. I don't want to reinvest it. I can't find the right people. Now's not the right time. I'm not willing to commit to my long-term growth. What if someone can't do the casework better than me? List of limits attached to this idea of growing your firm by 1.2 million. The champions are going to turn their list of limits into what I call their transformation agenda. The person stealing your cases, growing faster than you, more effortlessly, has turned their list of limits into their transformation agenda. That's it. So every limit you think you have, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I can't do it now, blah, 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 whatever. Can everyone make a commitment that throughout this event, you're going to put it, how can I before those limits? How can I get the money? How can I make the time? How could I give up my casework? How could I find an A player if my family's life depended on it? If your family's life depended on it and you had to grow your law firm by $1.2 million next year or your whole family would die, sorry to be so intense, would you figure it out? Maybe the stakes aren't high enough for you. Maybe it's just, I'd like to. It'd be nice if. Those are cancerous words. It'd be nice if. I wish. No, it's happening. I'm going to invest as though it's happening because my belief system is that of a champion, not of a dabbler. When my belief system is that, I'm going to take massive action. 2 ways to take action: minor action, massive action. 10x rule is the best approach here. 10x rule says you set targets that are 10 times bigger than you ever imagined, and you take 10 times the action necessary. Now, the beautiful thing about taking 10 times the action is it doesn't require 10 times the time. Think about it. At the beginning of the year, one person says, I'm going to be healthy. So they order 1 healthy meal. The same person orders meal prep for the whole year, auto-delivered meal prep to their front door for the whole year, and they pay up front for it. Took the same amount of time, but person B took massive action, and it took the same amount of time because the level of action you're taking is in direct correlation to what's happening in your wallet and your calendar. Don't tell me what you're committed to. Show me your transaction history for the last 90 days. Show me where you spent time for the last 90 days. I will report back to you as a forensic detective what you're actually committed to. The best way to take massive action is to change where you're spending money and change where you're spending time. And it saves you time in the process. Once you take massive action, you will form indestructible habits. You'll get to a different level, a different stratosphere. You'll get to have, it's easy to have 25 people on it's easy to have 100 people on my team. You'll form these habits of, it's easy to make marketing decisions. It's easy to hire people before I'm ready. And all of this creates results. You create these massive results in your business. See, I told you I'm a stud. That's the word that goes through your mouth. I told you I'm a champion. And it reinforces your belief system when you get great results. Your belief system says, see, I told you I was amazing. You take even more action. You form even greater habits. You get even more results. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We call this the success loop. So the 3 steps of this process is to commit to a vision bigger than you've ever committed to before. To raise your identity to that vision. To start being that person now. And then to eliminate the mindset obstacles that limit you by taking massive action and committing to that big vision and anchoring it in a why and being aware of the cancerous belief phrases you allow to go through your mind, right? And eliminating your mindset obstacles.